Hello and welcome to True Audio with Johnny Truesdale. This is episode 5, Series vs. Parallel, Series Part 2. In this episode, I'm going to show you some series stuff inside of DAW, Pro Tools specifically. So without any further ado, here's episode 5. Alright, here we are in Pro Tools. This is a Pro Tools session of a demo I did for a band in New York, New Jersey. Called The Great Fraud. You can get their album on iTunes. I'll put the information at the end of the video. So let's take a look. Let's listen to the song in context. It's not mixed. There's nothing in. All the plugins are bypassed right now. Okay, so let's just take a look at the snare over here. So I'm gonna solo up this snare by itself here, and I have an EQ and a compressor. This one's an EQ, this is a compressor. This is a filter that we're gonna talk about later. I just left it here for now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a few here. So let's just listen to the snare soloed up by itself, and I'll put the EQ in. Now, EQ and compressor. Now I'm going to move the EQ after the compressor. So, you get a little bit more punch, but you get a little bit more kick in there in general. Put it before. See the EQ before the compressor. So this is our series. EQ before the compressor affects the compressor differently, and it's the same exact EQ. So this is our EQ settings here. It's the same exact EQ before the compressor as after it. If I move it, you can hear how much more kick you actually have in there. So this is supposed to be a snare mic. It's not exactly the best idea. So let's put it after it because I like that punch. And what I'll do here is I'll put a filter in before it that filters off a little bit of the low end here before it hits the compressor. Now this you could suit to taste however you wanna. You can suit it to taste however you would like to suit it to taste. But you can kind of play around with it yourself there. Okay, so let's listen to the whole thing in context again. Without it. So it pops a little bit more with the EQ and the compressor in it, as it should. Okay, so let's go over here and let's take a look at our guitar over here. This is a guitar solo, so let's listen to it. This is with nothing in, the whole band in. Okay, so check this out. We got our two microphones. We have two different microphones right here. This is, from what I remember, is a ribbon and a 57, and they're going into this stereo subgroup here. so this is in series to here, just because I'm going to show you a stereo delay in series. Uh, that's why they're going like this. So this goes in series, 11 and 12 goes to here, it goes down that way. So out to your monitor left, right, which is what you're listening to. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the mod delay now. So listen to it with delay in series here, and I'll bring one of these up so you can see how I have it set. I have it set around 18% for each of them. This one is the same as this one. Here we go. So that might be a little bit too much, but I just wanted to make sure that you could hear the whole thing. You could hear it in context. Now, what could happen though, and what you have to make sure that you do when you put a delay in series on a channel strip is you have to have your mix low. You see this mix is at 18%. If you don't, it ends up sounding, let's bring it up. I'm going to bring it up to like 68% on each of them right here. 68, 69%. Right around. Hold on. There we go. All right, so let's listen to it at 68%. Not so hot. So now it's starting. You sound like it sounds like two guitars instead of a nice mix with a delay. You know, a lead guitar with a nice delay on it here. And I'll put it back down to about 16%. I know we're at 18%, but here we go again. So it gives you an idea of what that delay is doing. This is nothing special. This is the built-in delay in Pro Tools. Let me show you versus mono delays, because these are mono delays, versus a stereo delay that I put over here. So here's our stereo delay. So it's a little bit more wide is what you're dealing with here. You're dealing with some width on that stereo delay. So that's an important decision to make. Do you want that delay in stereo? Do you want that delay in mono? Let's go back and I'll play this for you again in mono. I personally like it, for this particular song, I like it with the mono delay. So let me show you something else that you can do. You can take something like a phaser and put a phaser before the delay. So it'll sound a little bit like this. So let me turn off the delays real quick so you can hear the phaser. Again, I did the same thing with the mix, so you can mix that to taste. The problem is, as you can see, when I do it, if it's on two guitar tracks, I have to do it on both of them, so I have to jump back and forth. And that could be a little bit time consuming, but you will get a little bit of a different sound if you do it that way, as opposed to doing it stereo on the bus over here. So another problem that you have with doing a delay in series is that if your delay doesn't have some sort of high frequency dampening on this, and this doesn't have any high frequency dampening on here, it gives you, you can't really dampen the high end of the delay to make it seem a little bit more realistic. Digital delays can seem slightly unrealistic that way. If you do try to do that, let's see if I try to, I can't just dampen the delay because it's in series, because this EQ, this would be great on the delay only, but listen what happens to it here on this. It's a little bit. It's a little bit too dead when it comes to that. I would prefer to dampen the delay itself as opposed to the entire track. So this gives you an idea of what you could do in series. And next week we'll look at some of the same things, but we'll look at some things in parallel, and we'll look at other effects in parallel as well. So that's all I got for this week. That's the end of episode 5. I'll see you next week.